Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo, where we teach authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Densho and why Densho, Makimono, and Mokuroku, why these are important and integral aspects to the transmission of the Koryu. Now, before I begin, I always give a shout out to all of my new viewers. So if this is the first video that you guys have seen of me, my name is Christa Jacobson. I'm the headmistress of the Budo, which means School of the Warrior Way. We teach Koryu Ninjutsu and Koryu Bujutsu, so the ancient martial arts of the ninja and samurai. This organization does have other areas of focus, such as reality-based self-defense, weapons training and tactics, survival skills, martial arts theory, thought, and philosophy, martial arts conditioning. If any of these topics at all interest you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell. I do post 2 to 3 videos every single week, so if you're interested in any of these topics at all, please subscribe, click the bell, and keep up with what we're doing. So today we're going to be talking about Densho, and Densho means written transmission. It's the writings from the Grandmaster down to their top students so that the transmission of the particular ryuha can survive to the next generation. And this aspect of passing down and transmitting the arts from one generation to the next, we call this koden. So ko means like old, like koryu is old school, right, or old tradition, or kobudo or kobujutsu. So kobujutsu is old warrior techniques, right? So ko meaning old and den meaning transmission. So this aspect of transmitting these old arts or these old ryuha from the koryu, this is called koden, right, or old transmission. Generally speaking, when you're training in Koryu, there is a way that you go through the training and the way that you are recognized by the information that you have received. So we see things like Minkyo Shoden, Minkyo Chuden, Minkyo Okuden, and Minkyo Kaiden. It's important to note that Minkyo Kaiden means complete transmission, and if you have Minkyo Kaiden, you are either the Soke of that particular tradition or you were one of the top students that was taught the full transmission of that particular art. But even though different ryuha have different ways that they describe the transmission, the more common way of passing things on is those 4 areas of Minkyo Shoden, meaning initial transmission, Minkyo Chuden, meaning middle transmission, Minkyo Okuden, which means like the inner transmission inside, right? And Minkyo Kaiden, which means complete transmission. Now, in many of my videos, you guys have seen me post pictures of my scrolls and Densho and things like that I've inherited from my master. I've posted pictures of me with my Minkyo Kaiden. As you guys know, I'm the 21st Soke of the Tomoryu. And being the Soke, it is an extreme honor, but also an extreme responsibility, because you can't just throw everything out to the public. You have to make sure that you keep something that's special and sacred to the people who deserve to see something special and sacred, because that's the way that it's always been passed down from master to student. It's not something that you should just be throwing out there. And that's something that I've always held that position, and I always will, because through the training, I got to take part in something that was very special and very sacred, and I got to learn those inner teachings. And as I teach ninjutsu to the people all over the world that train in this organization, I like to have that teacher-student relationship and give them something that they don't just get by walking into a local bookstore or something they can download on the internet. And I think we're getting into this world where people believe that everyone should have access to all types of knowledge, and that's just something that I don't believe in that train of thought. I believe that you work for something and you get something, and sometimes those deeper secrets are meant for the best students of a particular ryuha, and to get there you got to prove yourself. So the Densho is this written transmission from the Grandmaster to the next generation, and this aspect is important because when you write something down, this isn't the master's notes on a particular topic or a particular technique. It's written in a way so the masters of this particular ryuha understands it, can apply it, and then pass it to the next generation. Sometimes people write notes when they come into the dojo and they train, and they write notes on this technique or that technique. A Densho isn't writing notes. A Densho is something a little bit more sacred. It's something that the Grandmasters pass to the next Grandmaster to the next Grandmaster. And it's important that people really realize that the way that it's written is not written in a way like you are writing notes, or that you're just writing things down on how to do techniques. It's written in a way that if someone else got it, they wouldn't fully understand what's written. Generally speaking, even if you write a list of skills, let's say that you write you find a scroll from a particular ryuha and it says these are the particular strikes, these are the particular kicks. Okay, well just because they say a particular strike and you recognize, oh, that strike is also in that ryuha, that doesn't mean that the way that they do that strike is the same as that. Just because they say this particular kick doesn't mean it's the same type of kick or it's delivered and utilized the same way as that ryuha. Like in ninjutsu, you see lots of scrolls and they talk about various different stealth walking techniques or shinobi aroki. Well, just because you see, okay, shinobi ashi or yoko bashiri or whatever, just because you see those techniques written down on a particular ninjutsu scroll doesn't mean that the way that they do it in that ryuha is the same way that this ryuha does it. So these scrolls are written in a way for the top students to be able to read them and say, okay, these are the list of skills that you need to know so that you understand this section of training. Sometimes it doesn't give great detail on how to do those techniques because the people who are reading the scroll already know how to do the techniques. So they are written in a way that are kind of secretive in that sense. They don't just write everything down. They write it in a way so that the masters of this particular ryuha can read the Densho and then transmit this particular tradition to the future generation. As an instructor of the Koryu, one of the things that I get a lot is, I see these old arts from Japan, but I mean, do they work in the modern day? Are they real? Would they really work in the modern day? And the quick answer is yes. However, it does matter who you're training under. And I think that's important too, because sometimes people in the Koryu, they stick too much to what's written in the scroll and not so much on how to apply the techniques in a reality-based self-defense situation. You have to keep in mind, the people that wrote the scrolls were warriors and they went to war. They weren't artists. That's not what they were. They were warriors, and the reason they were transmitting these old traditions is so that the next generation can protect themselves against tyranny and violence, protect themselves and protect the ones that they love. So when you study the Koryu and you watch a Koryu school and they move in a very blocky way that doesn't look like it can be applied in a fight, then they're probably interpreting the scroll a little wrong. Here we try to take the techniques and we do them exactly the way that they were written so that the students can understand the principles and the philosophies and strategies that's been passed down for hundreds of years. And then we take these principles and strategies and philosophies and the techniques and we apply them many different ways so that the students can have the skills to be able to protect themselves and the ones that they love in this increasingly violent world that we're living in. Many times you see in antique auctions, they sell old Densho, old scrolls, old makimono, things like that, and they sell them for astronomical prices, right? And even though I've inherited many scrolls and Densho from my master, I've collected many along the ways as well. I have hundreds of them. And one thing that I'll say about that is that it's always nice to have a piece of history, but if you don't understand what's on the scroll, what's on the Densho, then it's useless. It doesn't matter how sacred or special you may feel that it is. If you don't know what's on it, you can't read it, and you can't utilize the information, that it is worthless in that sense. I always use the analogy of a blank check, right? Let's say that you have a friend and they write you a check and they write the check for $1 million. And they say, here's $1 million check, and they give it to you. Face value, you have this thing that looks like $1 million. It looks great, but if you try to cash that check in, it's not going to be worth $1 million. It's worthless. Yeah, it looks great, but it's worthless. Same thing here. So lots of people like to get scrolls and Densho and pay money for these things, but if they haven't really trained in Koryu and they've never really trained in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu and they don't understand the time period and how things were and how things work and why you use them, when you use them, how you use them, then it's worthless, because you may have something that looks great, but if the training that you have doesn't back up and can't back up what's on the scroll, then it's useless. So when people ask me questions about the Densho and the scrolls and the makimono and the importance of Densho, it is very important. It's an important and integral aspect to the transmission of the old way. And it's extremely important that you find somebody that understands the Densho and understands the particular tradition and that can teach you the tradition in the way that it was supposed to be taught. That way it's not just a technique, you're literally learning something that someone put their life on the line to develop for protection and for survival. And I think that the Densho is kind of like a link for us to the past. You know what I mean? From the present, now, to history. And although I do believe that many Koryu schools do not use the Densho in a way to train themselves for self-defense, personal protection and survival. I believe that a lot of times you see Koryu schools just work on the techniques as a history piece, just to kind of keep them and preserve them in the modern day, which there's nothing wrong with that. There are certain schools that just preserve history. They're not really using the Densho to develop self-defense or self-protection skills to be able to protect yourself, and the ones you love, etc. They're only training in the Koryu and preserving the information on the Densho to preserve a particular tradition. But then you have other people like us here at the Budo. Not only do we look at these particular old kata and old philosophies, and we try to preserve them as they are and let the students understand this is the way the kata was written, this is how you do it, why you do it, when you do it, and they understand the different kamae and the flow and the application, but also how to take the heart, and how do you take something that was written to protect yourself and to protect the ones that you love and apply those same principles to today. So there's today's video about Densho. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did like the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, I post 2 to 3 videos every single week, so don't forget to click the subscribe button and keep up with what I'm doing. For those of you guys who are interested in authentic ninjutsu and classical samurai bujutsu, please check out my website at www.budo-ninjutsu.com. There you guys can see the 7 traditions, the principles and strategies that we teach. If you don't live next to one of our schools, you guys can always join the Budo online ninjutsu dojo, and you guys can start training that way. So thank you guys very much for your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo. Bye.